We got Scott from AltFee. So Scott Leigh is the co-founder and CEO of AltFee, the foundation of a law firm's pricing system, where firms can confidently scope and price their services and practice law without having to charge by the hour. Scott, it's all you. Take it away.
Awesome. Thanks for the intro, Brian. Apologies about my voice. Hopefully everyone can hear me all right. We're coming off a conference and my voice is still making its way back. As Brian introed, our team here at AltFee, we're helping law firms be successful with their flat and their alternative fees. And there's never been a more important time to focus in on this as we're adopting AI, other technology that is reducing the time it takes to complete our billable tasks. We need to start thinking about how we can align our pricing model to make sure we are ultimately rewarded for those efficiency gains that we're creating, not penalized like at times we are under the billable hour model. I'll take the next whatever I got here, 6 or 7 minutes or so, and walk you through an example on the platform. Hopefully that's showing up okay for you guys. So what we're looking at here, this is our demo account, and the project types, as you'll see, will be all over the map. But we're going to walk ourselves through a corporate example here. So we have a set of our guidelines, and each of these guidelines will look something like this. If we go into the shareholders agreement example here, we provide around 470 plus of these as templates, but these are fully customizable to do whatever needs to be done to ensure they're up to date. The idea here with our guidelines is that these are your home base for coming and starting the scoping and pricing process for a new client. And it's also the centralized spot for you and the rest of your team to incorporate all of the learnings that you're generating to make sure that we're continuously improving as a firm with that scoping and pricing process. So what we're looking at here, we're doing a shareholders agreement. We have a base fee, sort of the bare minimum we'd ever do this thing for. And then we have a list of factors. Those factors are the things that typically add to the scope or add to the complexity of us carrying this piece of work on. Our goal, whether it's myself, whether it's the rest of our team within our firm, is to be set up for success when we go in scope and price. And a lot of that comes down to also being confident. Some of that confidence building comes from our experience. So how often are we scoping and pricing shareholder agreements? What is our average prices, range of prices? Let's bring all that data to the forefront so that we can be knowledgeable and confident as we start to go down that pricing process for a new client. So let's take this and go apply this to so now we're going to go take on this project of drafting a shareholders agreement for this company, Ritchie Inc. Now we can take this and we can use this guideline to act like a checklist of sorts to help us do a really great job of upfront scoping. For any of you that have experience with offering flat fees or alternative fees, often one of the early pain points is how do I make sure I know what I'm getting myself into, right? How do I scope this thing out as best as possible? And so this allows us to go through the process of identifying which of these factors are applicable based on the experience of our various team members. And as we're doing that, we're adding the relevant dollar amounts on top of our base fee. So what you can see over here, what we call pricing factors, stage 1, let's scope out the piece of work in front of us as best as possible. Stage 2, this is what we call our modifiers. And as I prefaced with off the start, this for us is really where things are going within our industry and the really exciting piece of what we see happening, because as we become less time focused in how we're pricing out our services, we need to create systems for consistency around more of our value-based pricing considerations. So not only those things that take time, but what value are we creating for the client and what other internal considerations maybe we want to look at to make sure that we're optimizing the ultimate price that gets put out in front of our client. I often come to something like project urgency as an example, because all of us as attorneys have felt that one. Get this done for me tonight versus get this done for me anytime this month is a very different experience for me on my end, and also delivers different value for you. And we should be creating a system to make sure that we're taking a similar approach throughout all of our team to considerations like those. You can see here, there's a bunch of examples around other modifiers, other more value-based pricing considerations. What's been really exciting for us is we've had this functionality out there for over a year now, is our customers are starting to use this in a way where they're both discounting as well as charging premium amounts for various reasons, but they're charging over 6% more for their services when they're taking value into consideration and incorporating a modifier. which is really exciting to see, because prior to that, we've seen ad hoc, off the cuff, very reactionary processes in place to make any adjustments to what that price might be. So step one, let's scope this thing out as best as possible. Step two, let's make sure we're considering the value of our services outside of just more of those tasks or the time that's being considered. What you can see start to happening is, here's our base fee, sort of the bare minimum we do this thing for. Here's how much that added complexity have affected the price. And then here's how much those more value-based pricing considerations are affecting the price. The third tab over here is what we call description of services. This is our opportunity to be more client-facing in our language. The primary workflows we're seeing thus far are really internally focused as a law firm. But now we can go through the process of having repeated language, determining which of those elements are in scope for this project. And this is our opportunity to package up that scope, package up the value of our services in a way that we're going to communicate back to our client. Before we do that, I just wanted to touch on, we're looking at the shareholders agreement as an example. We always have the ability to go back to our set of guidelines, pull in other projects that fit underneath this matter, or if you're doing more complex work, you're able to take a more stage-based approach and incorporate each of those stages one at a time into your analysis. So I won't go through that same analysis again, but you can see we're doing this formation of a company. We'd go through our factors, go through our modifiers, and go through our description of services in the same way. And let's say we're packaging this up, we're feeling good about where we're sitting. On the front end, what we can now do is take this, it's going to break it down by project type, the dollar amount that we've come to, as well as that client-facing description. And we can now take this, incorporate this into our engagement letter, retainer agreement, proposal email, however we're taking that scope and price and ultimately communicating that back to the client and looking for them to agree upon that. A couple other pieces of functionality to quickly touch on. One is on the collaboration side of things. So I'm Cheryl Swoops, but you can see over here, I'm able to add in my relevant team members. What we see happening over time is that as our team starts to share their knowledge into the centralized location, we can all take advantage of it. We see the managing partner, more experienced type, able to take more of a backseat and allow others to get more actively involved in the scoping and pricing process. But in either case, whoever takes the lead can always jump into here, add a relevant team member. They'll get notified in-app or via email, whatever they want based on their preferences. They've been added to this matter. And now there's an opportunity to asynchronously collaborate and make sure as a group, as a firm, we're doing the best possible job at pricing out this piece of work. For any Clio users out there, we also have an integration with Clio where you can sync this up to an existing matter within Clio Manage. This does a couple things, and I'll finish up after this. One is that it can take this the dollar amount, this more client-facing description from within AltFee, automatically pull that into Clio in their world into an activity, and that allows Clio customers to generate flat fee invoices really seamlessly. In return, we're capturing the recorded amounts of our team members that have put time towards this project. And then we're able to draw a comparison between the flat fee we've created in AltFee against the recorded amount and what that difference is showing. So both during post-project, we're going to get real insights into how good of a job are we doing with our flat fees comparable to how have we done this hourly. And off the start, that may incorporate some learnings. Why did it not go exactly how we thought? Let's incorporate those learnings back into the system, make sure we improve so that we're in a better position when we do this project next week. And then over time, as we build our efficiencies and optimize our pricing, we're really going to start to see in front of us those wins that we're creating as a result of our flat fee offerings. On the 10-second summary from a high-level workflow perspective, we have our guidelines. Those act like templates. We use those to make sure we do the best possible job of scoping, considering more than just time by incorporating our modifiers, packaging up that scope, that value through our description of services in a way that we can communicate to our clients and get them to agree upon it so we can kick off. Thanks so much for having us.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Scott. It's interesting, totally different industry, but my wife runs a home organizing business, and we've talked a lot about the difference between billing hourly and value-based billing, which is what somebody's really pushing on her business. But she mentioned something that you brought up really in the beginning of your presentation, which is confidence. Like, she has no confidence in her ability to scope a project because there's so many different variables depending on her clients. And I think the same thing goes for lawyers. I experience it myself when I've done flat fee arrangements, and I usually default to hourly because it's just a safer bet. It's easier to track, less mental gymnastics I have to do. But that's because I never had a system, and everyone's kind of doing like a finger to the wind type thing, or at least not everyone, I'm projecting, but that's how I feel sometimes when I'm doing it. So this is really cool. It actually creates a system for that. So thank you. There's a couple questions that I'll ask from the group. The first one is the billing data being aggregated across all users, or has AltFee scoped in the market and used as a bench? Oh, sorry, I'm misreading this. Across all users.
Yeah, I think I understand. I understand the question around, is it
Yeah.
market or is it not market data? What you're seeing in the AltFee platform is not market data. We know we're capturing some really interesting and valuable data across our customer base, but until that's at a point and we've gone through the processes to determine, we can, splice and dice that in a way that we make sure it's being pulled back in a really valuable way for that specific geographic market, specific practice area. We're not saying we're in a position of suggesting how much you'll charge, but some of that benchmarking data does apply across the modifiers and other areas of what we do. So I think that's kind of where the question was geared towards.
Yeah. Great. And then the second one is, do you anticipate doing this in other service areas? This is interesting. It's just what I was talking about, other services areas.
Yeah, so if the question is more around other practice areas within legal, I mean, for sure, we've have a broad range of different practice areas and project types across our customer base and across the templates that we provide. So definitely amongst legal, and then if it's talking about more services like other business types, then yes as well. I mean, we came at this from the perspective of our own experiences in the legal industry as a practicing attorney, transitioning our firm to alternative fees. But as a result, we have an accounting firm, wealth management firm, business consultants that are using our software, just pulled out, sort of with the legal jargon pulled out of it a little bit, and they've been really successful in that way as well. So if that's where the question was geared, we have seen people that really come from any mindset, like Brian's wife, with an hourly mindset, trying to create a process that's going to enable them to be successful in offering any sort of flat fee, alternative fee. We've seen the process and the workflow we've created really work well for them as well.
Amazing. The person Jeff clarified, thinking about other types of consulting. So yeah, it would apply even outside of legal. But yeah, this is really cool. God, what was I just thinking before I read that? Now I forget, and I had a thought.
Well, your original comment, Brian, I mean, I totally appreciate, because we've been doing this for a number of years now, the typical attorney approach and where the challenges typically sit. We offer AltFee, the software that you just saw, but we also have additional packages in which we're more actively involved at times in helping firms get from where they're at and where they want to get to, through things like helping them analyze their historical billing data to build some of that confidence. How do we go around taking those insights generated from our past to set us up for future success? So without going too far down a path and taking up too much time, we do have other ways in which we incorporate the learnings that we've developed over our years of doing this back to our customers as well.
That's helpful. Awesome. And one really quick question. This seems like a software that doesn't really have a home in terms of traditional softwares, right? It's not like a pure billing solution. It's not like timekeeping. It's not a CRM. So where does it sit in the tech stack? And are you thinking about that in terms of like integrating to other systems and how it works with and plays nice with other tools that lawyers are probably using?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, we always fight for our own category of pricing, is really what we like to live under. Pricing for us is all that area where we live on the upfront side, right? Not the billing side that's more administrative, but the upfront process that's involved in pricing really well. So yes, we sit, as you can see, with the extent of our workflow right now, we sit really on that, from early conversation to getting that engagement letter signed off and agreement so we can actually kick off into the work. So we naturally live close to CRMs, but also tap in, as you can see, through the Clio integration with the practice management companies, where some of that ongoing learnings that we're generating through timekeeping and other things we can play a more active role in. But we sit really close to the money, and the money is a lot on the front end and then on the back end in the billing cycle as well.
Got it. Cool. We have one more question. So
Yeah.
answer as quick as you can, and then we'll jump to the next one. Does it track actual time spent versus the flat fee to determine if the arrangement was successful?
Yeah, that was that functionality that I probably spanned through really quick at the end there through the integration with Clio. So with the integration with Clio, we're pulling in any of our team members' time they're contributing to Clio, all that the time, and their hourly rates, pulling that in, and we're drawing a comparison with an alt fee of, hey, here's our flat fee of X. Here's how much recorded time we put towards that, and here's the difference. So yes, it generates those learnings when maybe it's not going great to encourage us to think about why and improve our system. And then it's also going to show us those nice wins that we create over time with the efficient system that we created aligned with our great pricing model.
Great. Thanks so much, Scott. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, guys. Take care.
Thank you. All right.